Coming up next on the Jeff Crilley Show, we'll meet a leading national expert who's going to teach us all how to live in joyful resilience. We'll explain next.
Many are predicting that the worst is yet to come, which is unfortunate, said one person here. Until now, they've enjoyed the reputation of being the nation's icebox.
Watched a burglar in his home this morning by webcam.
As a journalist of over 25 years, stories are what make my world turn.
Reporting live from the Dallas newsroom tonight, Jeff Crilley, Fox 4 News.
But in 2008, I took the jump from my familiar life and started a PR firm from my home.
We're talking about anyone with a camcorder like the one I'm using becomes a television network.
We started slowly growing the company, and we now have over 100 clients, and we've branched into the world of live digital broadcasting. I now own 8 different TV studios and have a huge team, and the stories that I now get to share are sometimes the most important of my life. Life has a funny way of coming around full circle. This is the Jeff Crilley Show.
Well, one of my favorite expressions is it's not how many times you get knocked down, it's how many times you get up. And unfortunately, we're all going to get knocked down, and some people stay down. And it could be the loss of a loved one, it could be a health scare, but if you stay down, that's not what life is about, and that's not what God wants for all of us. I think my next guest would agree with that. Maggie Eckburg, she's with the EG Life. Thanks for coming on the show.
Hi, thank you. It's wonderful to be here.
Well, I knew I would like her just from her smile, because I'm a big smiler, and on all her pictures that you'll see in a minute, she's got this huge smile. And we're going to learn more about your backstory in a minute, but I want to talk about the EG Life. So EG stands for?
Everything is grace.
Okay, how'd you come up with that?
Well, it started with, it's an expression I knew since I was a child because my mother would share it with me. It does come from a saint that she loved greatly and that I grew to love myself as well. And that's where it originated from. Would you like me to share more?
Yeah, please.
Okay. So I carried that with me, everything is grace, just like I would carry everything happens for a reason and cute expressions like that I loved. I would have them on my bedroom wall as a child, and I really enjoyed them. But it wasn't until later in my life when I thought that I was going to have to go through a cancer treatments again for a second time. It was that time when I thought, everything is grace. Everything happens for a reason. This is garbage. It's not true. And I fell into this deep anger and depression and this dark place where I thought, I don't know if God's good. I don't know if he is who he says he is. And all of these questions swirling around in my mind that really, really impacted my ability to own this expression that I loved so greatly.
Sure.
And so it set me on a journey of finding out, well, is everything really a grace? Is it possible? And then it led me to.
And to finish that story, so that health scare, how did it turn out?
So it turned out that all was well. But after I found out, when I read the results, they read in the medical world, they read unremarkable. It means that there's nothing that came up in this scan and there's nothing to be concerned about. But as I was reading the results, I was for a moment playfully offended because I do choose humor first.
Sure.
Please, life can be heavy. So I guess
Sure.
I thought, unremarkable, I said to my husband who was next to me, how dare these results say I'm unremarkable? Like, come on, like I just cooked dinner tonight and I don't even know how to cook, that kind of thing. like what do these doctors know? But at the same time, I felt something stirring within me. And I knew something in me was like, this is a scientific report of how you feel about yourself on the inside. And I couldn't let that go. And I excused myself and went upstairs. And when I had a moment alone in my bedroom, I collapsed in gut-wrenching sobs, really ugly cries. Like, I've been called for more and I don't know why I can't reach the more. And I begged God in that moment to help me live anything but an unremarkable life.
Wow.
And in order to do that, I had to go on the quest of finding out first if he is who he says he is. Because I was at a crossroad also of faith. I'm either going to do my life with God or I'm going to peace out. Because I was just so broken from so many things.
Wow. And now you're taking some of those broken pieces, and now that you're together, you're helping others. Because we're all broken in some form or fashion. I want to pull up your website. It's a beautiful website, and I want you to talk about the EG Life and how you help others.
So through this journey, and this big healing journey that I went on to pursue deeper healing and find the truth of who God is, I uncovered that it turns out he is who he says he is, and that everything really can be a grace in his presence, everything can be a grace, that he can turn it all around for good. And it forever changed me because I encountered the love of God in a way that I had never had before. It just was so real, where I just feel him with me in a way that I didn't know was possible.
Yes.
So when something like that happens to you, you are not the same in the best of ways. The freedom you feel, the joy that unleashes, and joy doesn't come from circumstances being the way that we want them to. It comes from a deep hope of
Yes.
knowing that all will be well. So even if this circumstance is the way I don't want it, I know that there's something greater than me working for my good. And in uncovering that, I was like, I have to tell the world. And I connect the most with the woman at the well from John 4, particularly as depicted in the Chosen series, when she's running down the hill. If you've seen it,
Yes,
she's got her
yes.
arms up.
Yeah.
She's going, I've got to tell, like I don't even remember exactly what she says, but to me, it just means that's how I feel. That's exactly how I feel. Running down the hill saying, I got to tell people that he is who he says he is, that you can have cancer and he can still be good, that you can be healthy and he can still be good. And that you are loved just as you are. And so I had to leave my formal classroom teaching position because I felt like I was being called to a different type of classroom. And because I felt like, no, more people have to know. Yes, my students have to know, and I hope that they see this and that they hear this and that they still walk with me. I stay connected with so many of them, but this is an act of obedience for me. It's way out of my comfort zone, but when this happens, it's like,
And people
you can't stay in a box.
No, I love it. And you're about to open the doors to a new bunch of students. So tell us about your life courses.
Yeah. So I've created a course called the EG Life, and it's all about how to live an Everything is Grace lifestyle, one in which you walk in joyful resilience through intimacy with Jesus. And it's an answer to a question I've been asked a lot of, how can you be so joyful with everything that you've been through? And in particular, I received an email once where I was asked that for the first time, years ago when I was asked that. And I thought, I want to give this gentleman a really good answer. I have so much to say. And I have so much to say, I'm going to wait 2 years to tell him.
And his question was?
So how can you be so joyful with everything that you've been through? People I know who've been through what you've been through don't carry the same joy that you do. And he said, I was receiving a certificate at the time when he had heard some of my backstory as they were reading my bio aloud. He said that there's some dark things in my bio. And he said, you were standing there smiling. It's like, and I'm sitting there like, how's she smiling while they're reading these things off? And my heart's being stirred. That's what I'm sharing with the world, how I could stand there smiling while people are sharing out loud some things that I've been through.
I'm so glad God put this on your heart, because with your perfect smile, you're the perfect person to deliver this message to the world, and Lord knows we need it. You're also a brilliant photographer. So we're going to pull up your photography website because I want you to talk about that. One of the interviews I saw you do said that when you were in church as a little girl, you were always amazed at how families interacted. Talk about that.
Yes. I've always been more of an observer. I was a very shy child, and I think anyone who knew me when I was young would be baffled that I'm doing this. And it would be evidence, actually, that, wow, God really did blow into her heart and explode it. Because as a child, I couldn't even talk to you without turning bright red. And I would freeze up.
Well, I'm going to pull up your Instagram page because every picture looks like, it's a Hallmark card. So as we scroll down this, what is it when you're photographing a family or photographing a moment? What is it about, capturing that perfect picture?
I'm operating from a place of wanting to reveal something to people and not just capture something for the sake of remembering this stage of their life. And I think it's something I needed so badly in my life. I needed these truths revealed to me of not just who God is, but who I am and who I am in his eyes. And I carried so much shame and guilt, and I was just so hard on myself for so long. And it can make me just so sad for my old self to think of how hard I could be on myself. And it was a photo one random day that I pulled up of my kids that a different photographer had taken. I came across while I was in a big funk. I'm sitting on the couch, moping,
Sure.
going through my phone, as we do, you know, because social media definitely helps when you're in a bad mood. Yeah. So, in a spirit of doing things that are very good for me, I was scrolling through my phone, but didn't realize that, thankfully, sometimes social media pops up memories for you, and that can be a real gift. And it popped up a memory of a photo taken of my children by another photographer. And I froze, and I thought, like, why am I so sad? Why am I in such a funk? Why do I feel so blah? I'm so blessed. My doctors prepared me to never be able to have children. Before my husband and I married, we were told that we had to sit down and really soak in the idea that kids might not be in our future because of the chemo treatments. And here I am, moping on a couch, healthy, with three beautiful children, and it snapped me out of my funk. Mm-hmm. And I thought, that is what I want to do for people. What this photo just did for me right now. It revealed something. I didn't care about how old they were in the photo. It's the truth that it went through the wall I had up. And so feel so driven to do this for people that, you might hire me for a Christmas card photo mixed in there as well. It's not the primary reason that you would, but sure, you might use it for that. But I want my images to do what that did for me, and to remind you on an unexpected day, at an unexpected moment, of how blessed you really are, no matter what your circumstances might look like.
Sure.
And people do not know how beautiful they are. Mm. I struggle with that myself greatly in the past, and still it creeps up to this day. But men, women, small children, big children, they do not realize it. And the more I've come to know God and to learn his love and to be close and intimate with him and feel his deep presence, I'm like, oh my gosh, it like makes things go away.
You're not just a great photographer, you're a great communicator, period. And you said don't go on the social media, but I urge everybody to go on her social media, because she comes up with these great tips. And so I went through several of these tips, and this is my favorite.
Okay, my first lesson, in no particular order, but the one I'll share today, is the power of a truce. I came to learn this back early in our marriage when my husband and I went on a tandem kayaking trip, the one and only time we did. See, it did not go very well. We were butting heads the whole time. We couldn't agree on technique and how to do much of anything. And when we got off of the kayak, the vibe coming off us was like, you are the worst person ever. Not that we were saying it, but the energy was there. When we got in the car, we both had a choice to make. Are we going to continue this, or are we going to put it to rest? And that's when my husband came through with an epic win. He reached his hand out to me without saying a word, just reached his hand out to me in the passenger seat. I took his hand in return. He squeezed it and then said, truce. And I said, truce. And we put it to rest. Sometimes you just gotta let things be. And sometimes there's not really much more to say, and you just begin again.
I think that was great. I mean, that was perfect. How did you come up with your ideas for tips?
For the marriage series specifically?
Yeah.
For lived experience?
Yeah.
I have a deep passion for marriages and for them to thrive and to work through, be what God intended them to be. And it's been on my heart since I was little. And I prayed for my future husband from middle school on, once I first heard that you can actually do that. And I was a middle schooler who read marriage books, because again,
I think that's sweet.
You're in a bad mood, you scroll on social media, you're in middle school dreaming about your future husband, you read a book.
Maggie, I think that's so sweet, and I think it's very relatable. Let me give you a chance to give a shout out to your family, because they're going to watch this. What is it about your family that lights up your life?
Oh goodness. Well, my husband's at the core of it. He is the greatest gift from God in my life. He's everything that I didn't know I needed. And right before I met him, I actually prayed that God would hold off on bringing him into my life, because I thought I wasn't in a good enough place to meet a future husband right now. And God, as he does when we tell him our plans, can often laugh. And he said, no, this is exactly what you need to get you out of the place that you're in. And my husband he reminded me of my identity as a daughter of God. And he grounded me in what mattered most. And he's been that way in all the almost 13 years now that we've been married.
And your beautiful kids?
And my kids are the unexpected gift. Obviously, we didn't know if we could have them 5 years into our marriage when we first got the positive pregnancy test, which happened on the OR table. I was told on the OR table before I had the procedure to remove the port from my chemo treatments.
Wow.
And the nurse said that, well, they have to check before a surgical procedure. And she said, did you know you're pregnant? And I said, no. Like, what? And everyone in the OR room goes, oh, we do sad things all day. You need to call your husband right now and tell him. And then a different nurse said, don't make her do that. That's so private. And I'm just laying there on the table. Like,
Did you make the call?
I did not, because I wasn't sure what he would say, because we were so prepared to not have kids. I didn't know if it'd be this like necessarily a beautiful moment. And when I did tell him, Peter said, we can have kids? I guess so.
Maggie, you are amazing, and I could talk to you all day. We're actually running out of time, so I want you to look into the camera on the left and talk to the viewer who says, "Man, I think I might have just found my coach."
Yay! First of all, that just warms my heart so much. But on a deeper level, I think if you are thinking that, it's because you connect to some level on what I have felt and what I've journeyed through in the past. And so for that, I just want to send you the biggest hug and to just tell you how loved you are and how beautiful you are, and that you are stronger than you know. And I cannot wait for you to reach out and for me to help link arms with you and journey with you towards this land of EG living, where we walk in joyful resilience through intimacy with Jesus.
Wow, that's a mic drop. That was beautiful. Okay, we're going to end with her website, which is maggieeckburg.com. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
You bet. That's it for now. We'll see you next time.